Yeah. 저기요.
How are you all doing today? My name is Brian Schultz, and I'm here to talk to you about why the digital world needs more experiences. You watched the case study from Korea, from North Face, and it wasn't in English, but you all kind of knew it, you felt it, I could hear you in the backstage, kind of interacting with it. And experiences are really driving better engagement online and really powering digital buys, because no matter what language it is, what content it is, people get really kind of attached to it. So I'm going to go through and show you kind of some examples of how brands that we've worked with build experiences to power the digital buys. So my name is Brian. I'm from the Magnetic Collaborative. We really focus on working with brands and our agency partners to create this type of content. It's really interesting when you look what's happened to the internet over the past couple of years and what people are doing. It's pretty amazing that social media has finally overtaken porn on the internet, and I think we're all very happy about that. And that a lot of people love creating. If YouTube is one of the largest channels in beating out cable networks for 18 to 34, why is that? It's because people are creating more engaging content, and people are consuming daily. I'm sure you guys will scan 3 times during my presentation your Facebook feed or your Instagram feed and see what your friends are doing. And you're engaged by wanting to live in kind of this voyeuristic world. So as brands, we want to go out and make this type of experience to bring the ethos of the brand to life, as well as making sticky and engaging content that doesn't just use scripted, really well-targeted advertising, but takes humans and puts them into context. So it's really interesting when you think about Twitter and how Twitter kind of engages their customers, which are you guys, advertisers. We do a bunch of work for Twitter, and they asked us, hey, we have this new video card platform. How do we get out there and inspire brands, advertisers, digital platforms to create better content for it? How do we show them what is the power of this engagement? So we put together kind of very simple experience in Cannes that allowed brands, their CEOs, and all the different people who are engaging from the advertising world to make some fun content. So I'll play a couple videos for you. This is the first one. Twitter came to us and said, how do we push this program out there? And we said, let's make fun content and show, Sir Martin Sorrell, you have Steve Kettleman in there, and a bunch of other kind of media executives, how engaging it can be with great content. So we designed this program using Dronian Space Selfie, where we took satellite imagery and combined it with drone footage to create this content that our audience and our consumers shared. And because of that, we got a bunch of earned media. And in a cluttered environment like Cannes, where you're trying to set yourself apart, it's very important to kind of look at content, look at humans, and as a brand, show them how to make better content. And with that, it's not just for consumer marketing. B2B marketing can just be as fun. But it's not only about making experiences and events and capturing the content with kind of a real life audience. Sometimes we make events and experiences that allow brands to create a fictional reality online. This is one that we did for Dos Equis, where we took 10 of the top Instagrammers and have them spend a weekend with the most interesting man. And the goal was, how do we increase the Instagram followership of Dos Equis as they relaunch. So I'll let you watch this, and we'll talk about it afterwards.
I'd like to invite you to join me and a host of other interesting people for a couple of days in New York City. All I ask is that you arrive ready for anything, with both your Instagramming abilities and a willingness to use them.
So we took 10 people with over 10 million followers and created a unique experience that every element of their weekend was something that they wanted to capture. They were picked up in unique cars and given a briefcase that had a lawyer's number in it, a burner phone, and a bunch of other odd elements. We took them in the back door of the Nomad Hotel, and as they checked in and got everything ready and got to the room, the NYPD popped in. As they're doing this, they're capturing each moment, they're sending it out to their followers. So the next morning, we took them for fencing lessons, of course, on the top of a building in west side of Manhattan with a gold medalist fencer from the United States fencing team, and then took them for lunch in Brooklyn, of course, on a rooftop garden and farm that they have out there. And instead of driving back to the city, we flew them, because why not? That's the only way the most interesting man travels. And as you can see, the capture of content was really driven by these kind of unique experiences and tied in with the brand. It was a pretty magical experience, from taking them out to a floating bar in the middle of the Hudson River to their final evening with the most interesting man, where he painted for them their most liked Instagram photo and gifted it to them. So every element had this personal touch. It wasn't super expensive as a brand to create this content, but it really, he is an amazing dude to hang out with. He literally is the most interesting man. But as you can see, we nearly doubled their Instagram following. We pushed really hard on the hashtag. And from these 3 days, we literally put them back on the map with Instagram. And it was all about making a fun experience. Having that experience live through kind of the feed that you'll see come up on your Instagram news cycle. So sometimes it's not just making an event with consumers, it's creating an event and making it live vicariously through kind of a media channel. This one, when we did it, we also, we do a lot of work with Netflix, and they came to us and said, how do we stand out? How can we, with all these networks, really let people know that we're here? And we said, well, you have Arrested Development coming back, and there's a cult following for it. Let's create a spectacle in front of every major network up front. So we put the banana stand in front of every major network up front and got 4,000, 5,000 people an hour coming that want bananas. And when the bananas ran out, we were like, hey guys, we're out of bananas. They're like, we just want to be in the picture. We'd like to, just get in with the banana stand and live that experience that you brought to life for us from the show. And the cool thing about it was that it was not like we had a photographer there and we said, to give us your email address and we'll send you the picture. We just took consumers' phones. it got really crazy. And we were like, how do we also integrate, the digital world for people who can't come out and experience it? So of course we made a seamless page that allowed you to order bananas to your house if you wanted to. And the talent started showing up. We got requests from late night television to go on. And it was just a really, really big buzz that was building around it. And it started to create these earned media opportunities. And my favorite one that I love to show is Bloomberg,
We're
of course,
also looking
picked us
forward
up.
to a lot of binge viewing this weekend because the countdown is on. Netflix is releasing all 15 episodes of Arrested Development this weekend, and our single best chart shows the extent of the buzz ahead of this show's release and what it means for Netflix. Rich Greenfield, an analyst at BTIG, visited the frozen banana stand, and Sarah, you know what this is. It's a promotional gimmick that Netflix ran all around the country to build up some anticipation. He spoke with people who were in line, about 430 of them, and found that 86% roughly of the people standing in line are Netflix subscribers. Now, those who aren't, the 14%, 2/3 of them plan to sign up to check out this series.
So it's pretty funny that Bloomberg decided
Netflix
to use a banana stand, which was not a gimmick, I must say. Was really tactical, well thought out experience design for a brand. And we created this fun experience that really took their digital buy and it really pumped a bunch of engagement through it. The final one I'll show you is that you can also take digital experiences like Digital Out of Home and create real life interaction and allow your consumers to post and push it out for you. But if you're going to do it, it has to be authentic, it has to be fun. And this is a program that we did with Android and Google to launch kind of the new billboard in Times Square, as well as push into the holiday campaign. So as people came, we allowed them to make Android characters. We had a bunch of brand ambassadors and teams around with Nexus tablets, helping them create and craft something that looked like them in the vein of Android. We also had tons of digital banners pushing content and asking people to make the same characters. As they made them, they were fed to the billboard, as well as anyone on the ground had the opportunity to co-create with kind of a different takeaway. The first one was when you could take a picture and we made a postcard for you. We said to Google, it'd be really fun if you could actually just mail the postcard instead of using Gmail. So you couldn't really email it, but you could mail it. And we found a lot of people printing them, mailing them, and sending them right around the holidays, which was really exciting. And then we took their character and allowed them to put it on gear, t-shirts. And it seems like a very simple thing, but the pictures that people were generating of themselves or the character that they created and their new gear really kind of pushed a lot of the earned media for us. And you can see here them doing the direct-to-garment shirts. And then we had a bunch of lifelike characters. How cute is that? You can't beat that. Lifelike characters out that people were taking tons of pictures with. And the final experience that we had, when you created your character, you could load it into a gaming engine and then play a game using Kinect on a giant billboard. This really drove a lot of engagement online and kind of through the media. As you can see, it's super spectacular. So when you're thinking of your digital buys and you're thinking of how do you use digital to create this type of engagement, really think about how do you interact with humans? How do you create with them? How do you create experiences that they want to consume? How do you bring kind of an ethos or a personality of the brand to life? Perfect time. Love that. So, the takeaway that I'd like to give everyone is make sure to use humans and not actors. There's something organic about it, and you've seen through every one of these pieces that we had no actors in anything, except for the talent that came to check us out at the banana stand. Make your own media, because it's exciting to see when the press picks it up and the way that people write about it. So really focus on making sure that you have a story. As you're crafting your experience, don't say, oh, how do we fit social into it? You should start with social. And then experiences really drive engagement. You have a lot of canned content out there and you're pushing for likes. We're doing A/B testing. This type of content, I think you guys have seen from the 5 videos that we watched together, really kind of drive emotion. You felt kind of what it felt like to climb that wall and jump for the jacket. So I'll leave you guys with that, and I really hope that you guys look at building experiences into the digital world, and let me know if you have any questions. Anyone? Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
So a lot of these events are big, I'm assuming big budget items.
Yes and no.
Well, and I'd love to hear, if you have an example of one that was a lower budget item, and also if you can convince, how do you convince the higher ups that spending a couple, maybe sometimes $100,000 on an event to generate engagement will really turn into ROI? How do you sell that in to get the buy?
Well, I think as we see the internet and the way people consume content changing, we as marketers have to kind of change the way that we think and try new things, because when we were first doing digital and there was, we didn't understand how to calculate ROI, we still were plugging into it. So I think like you look at experiences like The Most Interesting Man. It was extremely small budget, very simple, and the only capture we had was their actual phones. So it's really looking at kind of starting small, having some wins as you're doing it, and say, look, we should spend 90% of our budget on things that we know that are tested, that are fun, that are great, but let's take 10%. Let's allocate that in the media and the production realm and try something new. At least we know that 90% of our budget is a tried and tested environment, but the last 10%, we might find something. We might find an insight that we never knew about our consumers, and then focus on that, and then soon it becomes bigger and bigger. A lot of the brands that you see, it took a lot of time for them to really get into it. So it's a small kind of incremental growth, through the brand cycle or your agency cycle. Anyone else?
It's actually all the time we have. I'm sorry.
I have 18 seconds left.
I always come in to to kill all the fun.
Well, thank you guys for your time.
Thank you so much, Ryan. That was great.
See you later.
Thank you. So our next